Hey everyone, my name is Brian. I'm the founder and CEO of Let's Make Great. Today I want to talk to you about the impact of the coronavirus and COVID-19 on my business and on the economy, and how other entrepreneurs can start to approach this as it starts to spread, because this topic has been on my mind. We've been living it for the past couple weeks and months, and it's been very challenging. There's been a lot of uncertainty and a lot of difficulty, and I think as this goes to Europe, as this goes to America, and while I hope it is contained, this is going to impact big businesses and small businesses alike, and especially for us independent entrepreneurs, this may be very difficult. And so I want to get out ahead of it and start to talk about it, and maybe introduce some of the things that I've been learning over the past couple weeks and months as I've been working through this. First, I want to start off by saying like what happened, what I observed happened. Then I want to talk about what I was thinking about as we were doing this. We're not out of it yet, but this is what I'm thinking about. And then finally, what do you need to work on next? From here on out, right? So I think those are the three key topics for today, and I'm going to get right into it. With the first thing is what happened. So we've been in China the whole time, and we're in Shanghai, so very safe, very far away. But still, that being said, we only know it's kind of safe now, or it feels safe now. Back then, right before Chinese New Year, the news started to trickle out, and there were things, and people started to get worried, and then everything happened. So what happened? What might you be able to expect if you're in Europe, if you're in America? The bad things is that for companies like myself, service companies, we were hit. I run a consultancy here in Shanghai. It is a largely doing like research projects, training projects, design projects, this kind of stuff. And our clients pretty much postponed everything. And I thought we'd be okay, but because they were global clients, but everybody's just taking a little more of a conservative stance, and so my consultancy was hit. Also, other creative agencies were hit because their clients were affected. So they don't want to create new projects, do new work yet until they know how everything is going to settle out. Payments have been withdrawn, or at least being held onto a little bit tighter because they also have cash flow issues. And then finally, other services like events and experiences. Nobody wants to go outside, so of course, offline events have been postponed, and the government has actually not allowed any public events and public gatherings. So this is a evolution. Public areas, in relation to the events, public areas have also been restricted, and things like shopping malls, retailers, they all have been super quiet. Food and beverage, restaurants, bars, cafes have all been shut down. Nobody even wants to go out there. Again, in these kind of closed spaces, nobody wants to be there. And events and experiences, I already said it, but all these things have been shut down, and that's affecting how people are living, how people are acting. Because of all that, there will be ripple effects throughout the whole economy. And the first thing is that I think this is all founded on a lot of people's fear and uncertainty about the situation. The virus is a big, scary thing, obviously, and then how it's going to affect everybody, that makes them feel a little bit uneasy, and therefore they're not spending as much. So consumer goods, they're not spending, going out and spending money. Restaurants are not earning any money, of course, and so this is a major problem. Another thing is that's going to lead to market losses. The next ripple, right, is that the market companies are going to start to feel some of that pain. They're not going to have some of that revenue. In specific industries like travel and transportation, meaning nobody wants to go on public transport, metro, subways, buses, even taxis. They feel a little bit sketchy because you don't know who's been on the taxi before you, right? And people are working from home, and that's creating, this kind of static anxiety. All of these restrictions and retractions are going to affect us. First, they affect the supply chain. So manufacturers have a hard time getting their goods, getting their supplies, and they also have a hard time getting their people into the factories too. That's going to affect multiple industries. And then eventually this is all going to trickle down back to us smaller entrepreneurs, small businesses. So these are some of the bad things that are happening, but it's not all bad. And so I want to at least start to see that there are some positives in this, at least. People still need to live. They need entertainment. It's very boring sitting at home for 4 weeks, and they needed a way to cope with that. Another experiment is the work from home experiment. They're not going to the office. They don't want to be in contact with anybody. So they're working from home, and there's a lot of new software that they're trying out. Different companies are trying out different things to see what might be working best for them in terms of meetings, in terms of collaboration tools, things like this. And of course, this seems like common sense, but when everybody's doing it, it becomes a lot harder, and everybody needs to experiment. And then you need to go across different platforms. This is something that's happening. And finally, for the adults who aren't just trying to be entertained, they also want to learn. You can't just watch TV all day, right? So a lot of people are taking online courses and trying to do all types of things just to improve themselves during this short period of time. Cooking classes, soft skills, hard skills, all types of different things, right? But there's a move towards online classes. Another thing is with social media is that we need a reason to laugh. This is a very dark time. It feels like a very dark time for a lot of people. And social media creates this sense of intimacy, right? That you can do these silly things in the privacy of your own home. You watch it on your home. Also, you still need to continue to chat with people and maintain those connections, obviously. And people with all this uncertainty, they need a place to let off steam and figure out what's going on. Both get information and also express their confusion, right? So social media is a good place. A lot more traffic is being directed towards social media, and then also e-commerce and delivery services is another big boom. Online shopping is there's a bunch of lists. If you search, there's a bunch of top 10 products bought and all that kind of stuff, and that's kind of interesting. Grocery stores, people are experimenting with the online groceries delivered to your home. Meals, of course. They need to eat, so they're just doing that a lot more frequently. And so this may seem like common sense, but this is what will happen over the next couple of weeks and months if coronavirus comes to you, and I hope it doesn't, but if it does, for independents and small businesses, the question is, what do we do now? What do we have to start to think about? And from my point of view, it's just to do the math, figure out your cash flow situation, figure out how much revenue you're going to have over the next couple months. And the first thing is probably expect to take a hit. Like looking at all the evidence so far, businesses are cutting payments, they're cutting salary, they're cutting all types of costs. So you are probably going to be on some piece of that, right? You're going to be affected on some piece of that. Estimate 3 scenarios. Best case scenario, not that much changes. Medium case scenario, you lose a little bit, but not too much. You can go on. And then worst case scenario, where you maybe lose 80% of your core business. This may be a realistic thing to think about. And then after you start to think about that, hopefully use that as motivation to start reaching out to your clients, start to select everybody to talk to, and figure out how you can build those relationships and figure out what's happening on their side so you're not blindsided later on. Of course, not everybody's going to tell you everything, but if you can figure out a way to help them, maybe they'll be able to help you again later. This is just business 101, isn't it? So the next thing I want to consider is cash on hand. How much cash do you have? How much do you need to feel safe? And then how much buffer do you need for your business on like the real bottom line? You add those two together, you have the top half of the equation. The next thing is start thinking about your monthly expenses. Where's your outflows going, right? The 3 biggest costs that you might have, and hopefully not all of it is essential, but figure out what is essential. Figure out what you can cut, what you can renegotiate, what you can reduce, because the lower this number is, the more time that you have to survive, because this is really a waiting game now. There's so much uncertainty. We're not sure how long this virus is going to be around and how much it's going to impact the economy as a whole. Some experts, economists, are estimating 3 to 6 months before we really bounce back. I'm not sure about that. I might say a little bit longer. But for your business, you have to start to understand how much time you have, and then you can start to adjust the levers, right? The question is, how can you buy more time? Either it's cash on hand, increase that, or you increase your revenue somehow, build out new products and accelerate the business in some way, or if you can cut the expenses, right? That's what you need to start to do. And once you've done the math, then you have a chance to pick the direction in an informed way. Do you want to retreat, meaning keeping the core business that you have and just focusing on that and really making sure that all of that is nice and tight and doing all the right things by your clients and customers? Or do you want to recover? Meaning you take a step back, knowing that this is going to be 6 to 9 months of a weird downtime. Maybe you want to take a break. Maybe you want to take a break and just start to think about building up your energy for the next 3 to 6 months after you take a short break. This is an option for some people, right? And then finally, do you want to attack? Do you want to move forward, launch new products, new services, and start to experiment with how you can approach the market in a new way? If that's the case, then you will probably recognize that every change creates new opportunities. It's not all bad, it's not all good, but every fluctuation, there's some window where you can sneak in there, right? So if you're ready to attack, start to think about it. Who are you trying to focus on? What target customer are you gonna switch to? Because this one is less affected, or that this one has more disposable income, or whatever it might be, or yeah, whatever it might be, right? And then you can think, okay, what might they need now? The situation, the market around them has changed, so there'll be some sort of opportunity. How can you offer it to them in a way that they're willing to accept? And finally, go out and get support. Build your team, build your products, and start to go. Because while it might take 3 to 6 months for things to get back to normal, you don't want to wait that long. You want to start going now, don't you? So one thing that helped me to go through this process to figure out exactly how my income was going to be affected was to go out to feel the market. And that means I started talking to everybody that I could, sending out messages, emails, phone calls, and just checking in on them, seeing how they are, what's going on in the community, what news they're hearing, how their business is affected. And one segment of that is your clients. Make sure, I said it before, I'm going to say it again, make sure you talk to them so that you know how they are feeling throughout this whole thing. The more they trust you, the better it is for you, isn't it? And finally, talk to your team. Make sure that they feel good about it, because you can't do this alone. This is going to be this weird crisis. This is my first real significant crisis. I was in college in 2001, my first year, and so I wasn't really affected too much by that directly. And then I was just working a big corporate job in 2007, 2008 when that financial crisis hit. So this is my first time around, and while I remember that uncertainty, now standing on the other side as an entrepreneur, you have a job to look back at, look after your team. So that's what I want to talk about for what's next. First things first is that your people need you. They are dealing with a lot of fear, uncertainty, doubt, maybe around the economic situation, about their own safety. Make sure you give them a space to vent and voice their concerns, so you can hear and better respond to what they are, where their heart is, and where their mind is at. A lot of people are irrational, but seemingly irrational. But once you start to talk to them, you understand where they're coming from, right? And once you have that, then you can start to get out ahead of it and start to share what you think may happen. You start to help them make sense of everything that you're seeing, everything that they're seeing, and help them understand these changes mean this will happen for our business, or may happen for our business, and that means this is how your roles may have to change. So as you can start to connect the dots for them, they will start to understand it better, and they will start to feel more comfortable. And the only way you can do this is that if you're transparent. A buddy of mine, he was transparent. He was reaching out to his team and made sure that he told them the reality of the business, and that they were taking a hit because of all the overhead they have. And because he was so transparent, they understood that when they needed to make a cut, they decided it as a team, and they were all in it together. And at the end of the day, you're going to be working with them probably much longer than you think. So, and at least you want to have these relationships because we have a long career ahead of us. So you don't want to just give that up, right? Set the expectations. Tell them what you think will change, and so that they can start to trust you. And ultimately, after you've done that, give hope. Find the silver lining. Be optimistic, somewhat, not delusional, but you want to give them a chance to feel like there is a chance. Start to explain to them when you think the light is at the end of the tunnel. When is that coming? And where are the other sources of hope, and where are they coming? And of course, nobody can help you but yourself, but you can start to look around and see where there may be some openings to maneuver towards. And that's really it. This is my first time doing this kind of video. I wanted to share my experiences. It's been a difficult time for myself and my team and my business. And I think I think a lot of people are going to be hit by this, and so just trying to get you a little bit prepared. We were in this for now more than a month already. It's March 1st, and it's scary times for a lot of people. So I wish you luck. I wish you safety. I wish you health, and I wish you amazing success in your business. Reach out to me. I also want to get more information. So if you hear something about what's going on, or if you have some questions, or if you want to talk, I'm here for that. I want to know more. Come to my website, letsmakegreat.com. Reach me out. Reach out to me on social media at Let's Make Great, and let's keep this talk going because this is just the beginning. Good luck, everybody. See you.